When you think about asking questions, a lot of people, I think, will give out the blanket advice of to have good conversations, you need to be interested in other people. And to be interested in other people, it just means asking questions. So a lot of people will handle this by just asking questions and not sharing anything about yourself. And that, I feel, is a critical mistake. What's up, fellas? Ever since I started working full-time, I've had a tough time having good conversations with higher-ups, my managers. And this has been something that's very tough for me to diagnose because I feel like I have generally good social skills. I can have conversations with strangers, talk to people at the gym, random people on the subway. And when I was a college student, I had tons of coffee chats where I talked to people of the same stature, various executives, various professionals, people who are steps ahead of me. And I was very confused as to why I couldn't translate that into the workplace. So I talked about this yesterday with my public speaking coach, and I think we landed on a framework that might be helpful here in this situation. It's a 3-step framework, and number 1, number 2 come together for number 3, so you want to hear them to have it all make sense. The first thing that you want to think about is knowing the purpose of the conversation, being clear on why it is you're having this interaction. And when you think about why, I think it's important to think about the surface level reason, but then also think about a reason that's a little bit deeper. Let me give you an example. When I have check-ins with my manager, the most immediate reason is to give a status update, to give an update on the various deals that I'm working on, the various projects that are in my court, and to show an impact on how those have changed since we last checked in. The deeper reason would be I want to continue building that rapport with him, continue building on the mentor-mentee relationship. And this why is important for you to be clear on because it sets the foundation and the direction for the conversation. So once that's established, number 2 is to think about how you want to make the other person feel. How do you want this conversation to make the other person feel? And these two are important because they together come to make the objective of the conversation. So now, once you have the objective, you can think about what actions and behaviors you need to do to achieve your objective. That's step number 3. The behaviors can be simple things like eye contact, body language, and asking questions. But when you think about asking questions, a lot of people, I think, will give out the blanket advice of to have good conversations, you need to be interested in other people. And to be interested in other people, it just means asking questions. So a lot of people will handle this by just asking questions and not sharing anything about yourself. And that, I feel, is a critical mistake because to build a connection, you need to also share your experiences. When you're only asking questions, it becomes a one-sided type of conversation, like an interrogation. So the 2 most critical items that I think about is 1, asking questions, but 2, also generosity of sharing your own experiences. These 2 need to be balanced very carefully because, like I said, if you're only asking questions, it becomes interrogation. But if you're too generous in sharing your experiences, then it becomes about you. So there's a balance between those 2 that you need to strike, and every conversation is different in terms of the mix of the 2 different things. Now, it's a simple 3-step framework, but it's this balance that is the most difficult to establish. I'll give you a sense of where I failed in this balance. So when I first learned about having the generosity to share my experiences, connecting on people's similarities, once I heard something that I could relate to, something that was similar to me, I immediately made that connection, and that shifted the dynamic of the conversation to me too quickly. So yes, you want to share the experiences that you relate to with the other person, but it's not like just throwing it in their face. The conversation has to be ready for that. So one way, something I've done to improve that is, when I hear a similarity that I can connect to with not with another person, I don't immediately share my side of the story. I ask questions and go deeper into that. So, okay, you like to ski. Where do you like to ski? Where have you gone skiing? What's the craziest trick that you know how to do? Instead of being like, oh, you ski, I ski also. That dynamic shifts immediately. Now, another mistake that I made when sharing my experiences is to share my experiences, and that can go well, but then expect the other person to connect on it and to drive the conversation forward, expecting a contributing idea. Something I learned is to, instead of expect that contribution, to prompt a contribution, mainly with a follow-up question. And I really learned this from an Instagram video that I saw a couple of days ago. I might throw it up here. I think the person explains it very well, might not. Basically, share your experiences, but at the end of that, instead of expecting someone else to be immediately able to connect on that point, you can prompt a question. So, for example, oh, I've also gone skiing in, the Swiss Alps. Have you tried the whatever slope that's there? I don't know, just making up random stuff. And the point for that is you are in the driver's seat of taking the conversation forward and leave no expectation for the other person to perform. So with all that talked about, there's one more framework that covers all of this, and it's going to impact how successful you are in applying this framework, and that's flipping the hierarchy. You'll realize in this video I refer to everybody as higher ups. That's not inherently bad, I think. It's just a name for people. But when it becomes problematic is when it starts to limit how you think you can have these conversations. You start to limit maybe some more personal questions, some more casual questions, some more fun questions. But it's questions like those that really drive a connection. So you want to be able to incorporate them. The flipping the hierarchy part is not about thinking you're better than someone else. It's really a pure mindset thing where you become more comfortable asking questions that are a little bit more casual and personal. This has been really cool to talk about because I realized I was using these frameworks successfully in college when I was having coffee chats with various professionals and executives. But I failed to translate that over into this new aspect of my life, the new professional workplace part of my life that's still relatively new to me. And so for you guys, you might have these skills already, but you just need a little reminder to apply these to areas that are new to you that you haven't applied these skills to yet. I think above all of this, the thing that's most relevant is being comfortable with yourself and not caring what other people think about you. And I made a video about this a few months ago about how I flex this muscle and how I developed that. And so you guys can watch that via the link that's wherever here.